All right, so I'm going to talk to you about why would you want to use a quiz in Google Forms? Okay, besides the obvious reason that it grades it for you, you don't have to grade quizzes. It provides you with some really immediate feedback, similar to what you can get if you created a test or a quiz in Eduphoria, and it's a heck of a lot easier to do than to create something in Eduphoria. So let me just show you one that we've done in 6th grade science real quick, and then I'll go into how do you create this. Okay, so here's one we did about elements and compounds. And the first things you have them enter are their name, first and last name, so you can sort it. Their teacher. If it's just one teacher giving the quiz, you wouldn't have to do this, but if several of you are giving the same quiz in the same grade level, then you need to have a teacher. And we'll show you why when you sort the data in just a little bit, and class period also, so you can sort the data. All right, and then you have another section where your actual quiz questions are, and you type in your quiz questions and your multiple choice answers. I suppose you could do short answers, but that might be a little more difficult for it to automatically grade. And so you type in your questions and give them their multiple choices, and they take the quiz. All right, so here's the cool part. When they're done, you click up here on responses, and you can see their individual or summary, but I like to look at the summary, and we'll get to the individual in a minute. And of course, it tells you the points distribution right here, so it looks like the average is just about 70, the median's about 70, and that's what's shown right here with this bar graph. All right, but the really cool thing is you can look at how they responded to questions. So if you go down to where the individual questions are, you can see for each question how they chose. All right, so for the question, which is the best description of an element, we had about 70% choose the correct answer, and the other, and just the distractors are all pretty even. So that was a pretty good question. Same with number 2. Let's look for an interesting one. Oh, here we go. Number 4. The chemical formula for water is H2O. What does the 2 tell you? All right, we only had 62.5% choose the correct answer, and we had a whole bunch of them, almost 20% choose the first answer choice, which is there are 2 oxygen atoms in a water molecule, and of course the 2 tells you there's 2 hydrogens. So we can see there's still some confusion over what the subscript in a chemical formula tells you, and that's something that we can go back and cover again, and that doesn't surprise me at all. They always struggle with that. All right, here's another one. The coin we call a nickel is made up of the element nickel. Which of the following statements about a nickel coin are true? We only had less than half pick the correct answer. All right. We had 21% pick this one. The coin is made up of a pure substance. Oh, here's the problem with this one. The correct answer is all of these are correct. So that is a problem students struggle with. That's a test-taking skill that you have to talk about. Okay. They did well on number 6. They did well on number 7, number 8, but number 10. Okay, here we go. Marie says the symbol for helium is capital H, capital E. Is she correct? All right, the problem with that is it should be capital H, lowercase e, because we teach that all elements have only one capital letter, and only 46% got that correct. And 40% said yes, because you can find it on the periodic table. Okay, so they didn't read all the answer choices in that one. So really quickly, within a couple of minutes, I can see what students are struggling with and what I may need to reteach. And I didn't have to go into Eduphoria. It was very simple. That's the beauty of these quizzes, is they give you immediate feedback. Okay, and of course, if you want to see their grades so you can enter grades, you click on this little button that says View Responses in Sheets, and it opens it up in a Google spreadsheet. And you can look down the list here, and it gives you the timestamp. That really doesn't matter, but here's their score, and then there's first name, last name, and teacher, and class period. And then it shows you how they responded on the individual ones. Okay. I've got this already sorted by class period, teacher, and last name, so it ends up being in the correct order for me to enter it into the grade book, because you can see as I scroll down, Miss Sosa and Welch have second period, I don't, and so their scores show up in alpha order. And then third period, here's mine and Miss Sosa's in alpha order, and you can just enter their score just by looking at this and entering it straight into Teams, or you can print this and enter it into Teams. So this is the kind of data that you can get from a simple Google form quiz. Now we'll talk about how do you make one. Alright, so you're drinking the Kool-Aid, you're ready to make your own Google form quiz, and ready to give it to students. So here's where we go. Alright, so you need to be in your Google Drive, and you should really be in your Seguin ISD Google Drive, not your own personal one. And I won't really get into that, but I keep my personal and school separate. Okay, so if you don't know how to log into Google Drive, get with me or get with somebody who does, and it's really easy. I do all of my documents for work, everything I do in Google Drive. I never use Microsoft Office anymore, simply because it's all right here on the web, and I can get to it anytime I want to from anywhere, and I don't have to remember to bring my jump drive or my USB drive to school. Alright, so if you want to create a quiz, the first thing you do is you're in your drive and you click on the new button, which is blue now, it used to be red, and drop down to the more, and there's Google Forms, and you click on Google Forms. Okay, I get this message because my folders are shared with other people. That depends on if your folder is shared. You just say okay. Alright, so here's my untitled form. Alright, so at first this is just going to be a form, like a survey, like the ones that Mr. McCullough uses to get us to sign up for the computer labs. Okay, you have to turn it into a quiz. Okay, so you go up here to the little settings gear, and you click that, and you go over to quizzes. Alright, and you go and click on make this a quiz. Alright, so now you have some options after you make it a quiz. You got an option of when to release the grade. I always do this immediately after each submission. So once they're done, they can get a little link that says see your grade or your responses, and that gives immediate feedback to the students. I think that's better. This other one that's later after manual review, you would have to review all the quizzes and click a button to let them see them, and then it emails them, and they don't really have email with their student accounts, so that doesn't really apply to us. And then you can control what they see. I always let them see which questions they miss, so I leave that checked. I uncheck correct answers because I want them to see which question they missed, but I don't necessarily want them to see the correct answer. So if we let them retake it for credit or for 70, they have to think about it before answering it again. And then I do give them the point values so they can see how many points for each question. Okay. Let me go back to the general real quick. If you clicked this one that says restrict to Seguin.k12.tx.us users, then they would have to log in to see the quiz. I don't do that because I don't want them to have to log in to Google to see the quiz. I want them to be able to just go click a link and take it real quick. You could limit it to one response to person, but again, they have to sign in for that to happen. Alright. I don't click edit after submit because I want them to look at it. I tell them to look it over before they hit the submit button. Alright. And then the presentation tab. Oh, this is a good one. You could shuffle the question order, but that's if they're not responding with their names. I like to keep the questions in the same order, but I'll show you another similar thing later. And I do leave this checked, show link to submit another response, because then if two people are sharing a computer, one person can take the quiz, and then they can click that link and then hand it to the other person, and they can take the quiz. Alright, so we're all set as a quiz, so I hit the save button. Alright, so now this is a quiz. Alright, so in order to have it sort the data into that spreadsheet that I showed you earlier, you have to have their names and their class period and their teacher. Okay, so anyway, the first question is going to be their last name. Or actually, you know what? I think I do first name first. And then we're going to change this one to multiple choice to short answer so they can just fill that in. You make this required question, and you don't give an answer key because you're not actually grading this, so you leave that alone. Okay, and then you click the plus button to add a new question, and this is going to be last name. And again, we don't want that to be multiple choice. We're going to change that to short answer, and it's a required question. Alright, and then we're going to add another question, and this is going to be the teacher. This one is going to be multiple choice because we have multiple teachers, so Mr. Brandenberger, and then Miss Sosa, and Miss Welch. Of course, you'd put whoever you want in your department in there. Okay, and again, you don't need an answer key because there's no correct answer. You make this one required, so they have to answer that. Okay, and you can see up here these little stars mean that's a required question. Alright, and click the plus button. Now, in order to sort it well in the spreadsheet, we need the class period. Okay, so this one's class period. And you could make it multiple choice, or I'd like to make this one a drop down boxes. Alright, so option 1 would be first period. Well, we don't have first period. We have second is our first. And you can just go ahead and add all the ones that you have classes for. And we don't have fourth period because that's Toro time, so fifth period. And I'm going to just stop there because we could just keep going and there's no reason, and make this a required. Okay, now what I do, they fill that information in. I break it into two sections. Okay, this section 1 is just for the information, and then section 2 is going to be the questions. Alright, and then you give the quiz a name up here. Are you smarter than a 6th grader quiz? Alright, so once you've got your basic ones, then you can stop and click on this add a new section button. And I'll go ahead and get down here on the last one. What I do instead of retyping this every time is I copy and I make a copy of previous quiz. Then this information is the same. I change the title of it and then just change the questions. Okay. Alright, so we're going to click on the new section button. Now this is section 2. This is the actual quiz questions. Okay. Alright, and this is just the section marker here. Alright, so you got to click on the plus button to add a question. Alright, now you do have the option to print these out, but if you print them after you've entered them, they don't have numbers on the questions, so I always add the number right here. Or actually, no, I take that back. When you do print them, they do have the number, but on here they don't. So they'll just see the question. So in order to help them, if they raise their hand and say, I need a question with number or whatever, so it just helps them to have numbers. So I put the number here, and then this is question 1. I don't know. Who is the president of the U.S. currently? Okay. I'm going to put this on here because I actually had somebody ask me that the other day. We were watching the CNN news during Toro time, and it was about the presidential election, and they said, who is the president right now? Interesting. Okay. So I want this to be a multiple choice question, so we'll make this easy. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. And who can we put there? They won't even know who that is. Okay, good distractor, huh? Alright, so once you've entered your answer choices, and we are going to make this a required question because we want them all to be required, then you click on answer key and you click on the correct answer, and you go up here and you assign the number of points. Assuming you have 10 questions, you're going to make it 10 points. Okay, so this will give you the correct grade when you're done. Alright, and then when you've corrected your correct answer, when you've selected your correct answer, you've given it points, and you go back to edit question, it's already required, then click on this little button right here, and this will let you do something that I really like to do, is shuffle the option order. Okay, I click that, and what that'll do is every time it's given, it shuffles the orders of the order of the answer choices. So let's say, you know, we share computers at a desk, so if somebody is watching their neighbor take the quiz and they saw for number 1 they picked the first answer and they weren't really paying attention to what it was, when they take it, it's going to be mixed up, and I tell them that, so they know they have to really pay attention. Alright, so once you've got your first question, then you can just click the little plus button and add another question, or if you're doing a similar question, you can click the duplicate button and it'll duplicate it. Okay, and this is, so we're just going to change this to this is the, we're going to edit this, just makes it easier. Who's the president of the US currently? We could say who will be, or assume we're giving this after the election, was elected to be the president of the US, okay, in November 2016. And so we'll leave Barack there, we'll leave Hillary there, we'll leave Donald Trump there, and we're going to call this one Bozo the Clown. And then once we get all of our answer choices the way we want them, we click on answer key, and no, he is not going to be elected again. Bozo the Clown is definitely going to be the president, and that's going to be my answer. And so make it required and make sure we shuffle the option order. Okay, and oh, I need to check, make sure that it was still 10 points. Yes, it's 10 points. Okay, go back to edit question, and now you can add another question, or you can copy a question and keep going until you get your number of questions that you want. We typically do 10 question quizzes, but you can do as many as you want. Alright, some other options are, you see this little button right here, you can drop a picture in for your answer choices, or if you're up here on your question, you can also drop in a picture. I've actually done that, it works just fine. Here, I'll pull up one. Alright, so I'll pull up one that has some pictures in it, and this is a quiz we just gave this week. Metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. And here's a question with a picture. We had to drop in a picture of a periodic table because they had to look at these elements and where they're located to classify them as a metal, nonmetal, or metalloid. So that works just fine, dropping in pictures. Alright, and you notice up here at the top that it looks different. There's some themes you can choose from, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so back to our quiz we're making. Alright, if you want to change the look of it, you can click on this little color palette, and it'll let you change the color, or this, you can click on this picture to drop in a picture. That's how on this other quiz, I had this picture right here from the lab. It was a picture of an investigation we did with crushing the soda cans. This little button, the preview, will let you preview what the quiz looks like to the students. Okay, and then This little gear button is the settings. All right, we already talked about that one. We did that at the beginning. This little more button, this is how you can move it to a different folder, make a copy, get a link to the quiz, or add collaborators. Anyway, this is just your basic Google Drive operations here. Let me go back over here to the color palette. If you click on the picture, you can either choose one here or upload. So this is where I chose. I've used this one before with the beakers, and then I chose the one that looks like Science Classroom. Since our quiz seems to be about history or about political science, let's see if we can find something here. I don't have pictures of liars. Let's just, how about a book? Okay, that can be our theme. And if you, like I said, if you want to, you can click on here to upload a photo and put it up there. So I was thinking, if there's any other time that we do an investigation, I'll take a picture of that and put it up there so they can remember it. But anyway, go back to this one, select the book, and there's our theme. All right. So that's it. You can click here to give it a title, and usually when you click on it, it pops up whatever you had as the title. So this is Are You Smarter Than a Sixth Grader quiz. All right, so let's just assume we're done with it. We have all of our questions we want. How do you give it to your students? All right, what we do is you click over here on the send button. You're not really going to email it to anybody, but you could. What I do is I click the little link button, and I click the shorten the URL, and I copy that to the clipboard, and then I paste that link on our web page. So when we're ready to take the quiz, we say, okay, we have a quiz today. When you're finished with your assignment, you log into the computer, go to Mr. B Science, and on today's classroom blog, there's a link for the quiz. Click that and you can take your quiz. All right. Or sometimes we're in Google Classroom, we have it on there. Finish this assignment and then click here to take the quiz, and that's it. I would not give them this to type in. As we know, it's difficult for students to type. Heck, it's difficult for me to type this in, So I would always give them a link that they know of, like your web page or whatever they usually go to, and then give them this. I guess you could use a URL shortener like tinyURL and shorten it, but I just like them to go to my web page, click the link, and go, because it's something they know how to do already. All right, and that's it. As the students take it, then you will click over here on responses, and you'll see what they're doing, and you click the little button right here, and it creates the spreadsheet that you can then look at and see their grades as they're doing it. I do, or we do, allow them to retake the quiz if they fail, because they know immediately. And so I've told them you can retake it for a 70. And so they usually look through it and go, oh, I missed that one. Duh, I should have known. And they'll go back and retake it. And sometimes they get even better than a 70, but we always give them a 70. And how do you know they retake it? Well, after you sort the data, you can see if somebody's name pops up twice, you know they took it twice. Okay? So you just look through here, and as you're entering your grades, oh, here's somebody that took it 3 times. She got a 50 all 3 times. Then if you've got somebody like that, then you know there's some reteaching you need to do. So it's pretty easy to do retakes. Okay, so I've talked about sorting the responses so they can be in alpha order, and so you can enter the grade. Let me show you how. This is a quiz that we just gave, and it hasn't been sorted yet. The only reason you see Miss Sosa's second period all sorted here is because I don't have a class second period I don't have a science class, and Miss Welch didn't give the quiz yet. And then you can see for third period, you start seeing my students and hers intermixed, so you know it's not sorted. Okay. Oh, and by the way, this quiz only had 7 questions, and we still counted them 10 points each. This is why you see 60 out of 70 or 70 out of 70 for this one. All right, so sort it. Click on, oh, you want to not be on one cell. You want to just be, highlight your whole table, your whole spreadsheet. Go to the data column, data pull down, and you're going to sort the range. Okay. So once you get this little pop-up, it's a little confusing. You click on data has a header row because you have a header row that says what each column is. Okay. The first one you sort by is the class period. So that's your first one, and it's A to Z. Okay, which means it'll go in numerical order, so it'll be second, third, fourth, so on. Okay, add another sort column. You have to. Then you sort by the teacher. Okay, so then it's going to sort each period and then by teacher alphabetically, A to Z. You add the next sort column. You want to sort by last name. Okay, so that'll sort by the student's last name. And then you also have to do first name because we have students with the same last name. Okay, so now this is how it's going to sort the data. First by the column for class period, then by the teacher, then by the last name, then by the first name. Okay, and then you click sort. Okay, and it's sorted, and for some reason I have 2 students in my third period class that think it's still second period. Ha! Very funny. But see, everything else is sorted. Third period, there's all of Miss Sosa's, there's all of mine, and then within those it's sorted alphabetically. So there you go. That's how you sort your data. And now you can just look on this spreadsheet and enter it straight into Teams. There is a way to export things from a spreadsheet into Teams. That requires the student ID number to be on there, and it is, I've done it, it's really difficult. So anyway, that's how you create a form and make it into a quiz. If you have any questions, let me know.